Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Amaarae BLACK STAR. So one of the acts I was looking forward to seeing most at Osheaga Festival in Montreal was Amaarae, especially given how much the varied color and sprawl of Fountain Baby won me over in 2023. And that album was not the vibe or presentation that we got, which was oppressively loud and confrontational with very little of Fountain Baby's playfulness or texture, and it was a bit of a discombobulating experience to see live, clearly favoring the new songs for the new album in comparison with previous projects. And I gotta be honest, it left me with a real sinking feeling heading into Black Star despite the critical acclaim from certain quarters. And full disclosure, when it comes to R&B inflected house, it can be a bit of a moving target if it lands for me. Often I get intellectually what it's trying to do, it just doesn't always move me as much as I might hope. And on some level that frustrated dissonance does translate to Black Star, where if it was just Amaarae attempting to draw on martial, Afrocentric grooves or blown out Brazilian funk, or nakedly cribbed notes from Playboi Carti, that live performance, it could work in a context, and I could appreciate some of the more eclectic textures blended in from across the globe. Fountain Baby proved that, and on some level this could be the natural extension of that experimentation. But it's that, as well as falling into the same chilly pivot to house lane that FKA Twigs fell into this year. It might be cheap to call it directly chasing Brat, but it's referenced on Dove Cameron, it's not even that big of an inference. All pressed through Amaarae's husky yet high-pitched, chirpy, auto-tuned cooing, and it's never been my favorite range from her. But when stripped of the more cooing sensuality from more staccato declarative flexes or drugged out dance floor vamping, I'm sorry, it just doesn't have as much presence or magnetism for me. And it's not like the production's doing her many favors. Outside of the painfully obvious flips on the club boom throwback Starkilla, the admittedly more dynamic glitter of Kiss Me Through the Phone Part 2 with PinkPantheress, and then there's Fineshyt and She Is My Drug that's nakedly cribbing from Cher's Believe and gutting any of that song's power, well, a lot of the metallic synth textures feel weedy or weirdly dated, or just melodically underpowered from reaching any climax. Even if some of the fusion shows some intriguing ideas, like the clicking but soft-focused Jersey club of Girlie-Pop, or the rattling scratch of a 100 drum, even with its tempo change. The brittle grooves, they often lock in or show some cool textures, but outside of the husky, wheedling house by way of afrobeats of Slut Me Out, or the attempt at finding genuine romance in the deserted city against the strings before Charlie Wilson opens up the outro like the sunrise, it rarely evolves to any sort of driving crescendo or potent melodic hook, leaving the album to wallow in drugged out hedonism, where the party is never ending is as much of a curse as it is a celebration, where the more oppressive blaring tones tying back to Brazilian funk might as well be taken at face value rather than just the next hot sound to turn up. And you know, there might actually be something to that. For as tweaked out, nakedly queer, and horny as this album is, bringing more convincing edge to the scene than Beyonce ever could in Renaissance's curated vibe, even accepting that I'm obviously not the target audience to get the most out of this defiantly black, club-ready serving and voguing, it doesn't sound like Amaarae's having that much fun either. The paranoia, spending a lot of money to keep enticing more women, blowing her previous album as she describes, trying to desperately lose herself in the drugs and extravagance for any kind of connection, but never quite getting there. Where I've seen comparisons with Future's branded nihilism, and I kinda get it, especially across the codeine-infused numb patter of B2B until it just spills into strings and grieving Spanish guitar, or in how none of the grooves will even allow release, where even awash in the transactional relationship melodrama, it feels way emptier, perhaps empowering in microcosm to buy everything for everyone, until you see the other side and you just feel lonely and hollow, especially in how otherwise dark and downbeat the closing cuts like 100 Drum and Free the Youth are. And thus, as a whole, once I was able to process what this album was doing, I can imagine the vibe in which Black Star would work and have some tangible emotional resonance, probably more so for its target audience or in celebratory moments when the bottom just falls out, the high turns sour. It's a template behind a lot of darker trash rap or drill music. I get the formula. But in the exercise of deliberate denial of restraint, combined with Amaarae seemingly playing against her own sensual melodic strengths and production, it just didn't connect as strongly as Fountain Baby. And I also think Amaarae was acutely aware that was going to happen, maybe harkening back more to her chic 2020 output. So if you're more of a connoisseur of this brand of house-flavored R&B, or it falls more into that tighter niche, especially within afrobeat, you're probably going to get a lot more out of it. She just kind of had me, and then she somewhat lost me, but even then, I appreciate what it's doing. It is worth hearing. I think it's worth a shot. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more, please be sure to like, share, drop comments, subscribe. I know I'm going to get some backlash for this because, again, I really wanted to like it, but that live show just did not connect for me, and given that I'm always a little bit on tenterhooks with her vocal delivery, going in this direction with her production just did not land. I mean, I think I like it a little bit more than Eusexua with FKA Twigs, because I just don't think that flattered her at all. But this, I get what Amaarae was trying to do, it just didn't land with me. I think it's just an element when it comes to some art, it's just not gonna land, especially when it's intentionally trying to be this, like, confrontational. You have to expect that. But hey, argue about it down in the comment section below, have fun. Beyond that, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if you all want to get involved in helping support the channel, get albums on my schedule, yell at me about this on my Discord, link to my YouTube memberships and Patreon is right over there. Once again, don't feel obligated, tough times, but the option's available. Till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.